So hi, I'm actually Roshni. My name is Roshni, and I am a yoga instructor, part-time. Full-time, I'm actually doing, I'm on quality line, basically quality assurance line in a medical setting. So what I do is I handle accreditations, compliance, and all these things for medical laboratory, screening laboratory, and also like stem cell manufacturing laboratory. Okay, so that's what I do in the day, and by night I'm a yoga instructor. So with regards to the book, I've recently written a book. I'm going to show you how it looks like. It looks like this. Okay. Yeah, so it's actually, the title of the book is Begin Your Yoga Journey. So it's pretty much self-explanatory what's inside, uh, starting from what yoga is all about, how yoga came about, how many years back, how many years we have been practicing yoga, and then going down to the details of what one needs to know and understand before they, embark onto this whole journey. The reason why I went on to write a book is because um, okay, a lot of people, they start off with yoga nowadays. I'm talking about nowadays. Most of them start off yoga because they saw it on social media, or a friend is doing well in yoga. Somehow it has become a trend, and that yoga trend is leaning a little bit more towards the physical aspect and somehow letting go of certain other aspects, because that's what you can show online, right? That's what you can show on social media. This nice yoga pants, which is not wrong. It's nice, but there are many other aspects to it that people tend to miss out. So I felt like that had to be put out there, and one of the main reasons why I wrote the book is that people need to understand that there's a lot more to it than just the pose and yeah, the attire and how it looks, so that's I've covered that a little bit in the book also. The book, actually, this is just the first book. I do have a plan of doing 3 more books. It's in the pipeline, which will cover a lot of other things. So at the end of the day, it's going to be a set of four books. Also have read, I mean, some get my physical book, some go with the online one. The online version is only 5 USD. So, okay. So the response, main thing, what I get from those who have read is that I think I've tried my best to put it in layman terms. So I think that sort of gets to people. Like when you read the book, especially if you're somebody who knows me, or my students, you will actually hear my voice in the background. You feel like I'm talking to you. So I think that was one of the main comments I got from a few of them, actually. So I think, and I know it's going to be helpful for those who are starting off. Like they have no idea what yoga is, and they're scared about whether they're going to hurt themselves. How do they do this without hurting themselves? This kind of things is what you get basically when you. And I went on to work in a lab, basically the day in, day out laboratory work. Then I somehow got interested in the quality line of it, how to keep things in order in a lab, compliance. How do you go by making sure that mistakes don't happen as much as possible? These things came in. So then I went into uh, auditing, basically. So I was auditing laboratories throughout Malaysia, throughout Peninsula, basically. Yeah, so from there, I learned a lot about labs, but mostly medical labs. But then I moved on here, basically. After all this medical lab, now my current company, we are doing medical screening, testing, and also stem cells, which is more towards biotechnology, really, not much towards biomedical. Yeah. For those who don't know what stem cell is at all, okay, I'll start from scratch. Stem cells are basically the most primary cells in one's body. Okay, so from there it differentiates into different types of cells, and then it becomes, okay, your skin cell, your bone cells, your nerve cells. It differentiates. So what happens in stem cell therapy is they target the most primary cells. Okay, and in our case we are doing umbilical cord. So we take the umbilical cord instead of wasting it. We take the umbilical cord and then the stem cells within the umbilical cord. And after culturing them, okay, they come to a point where we can cryopreserve. Cryopreserve means you actually preserve it in extremely cold temperature, and then you take it out again when it's needed, and it is basically injected into another person who needs some sort of help, maybe Alzheimer's or diabetes or um, heart issues. It can be anything, whatever that you want to address. So it has the ability, it has the intelligence. These stem cells, they have this intelligence of going into the body, understanding what is it that you're lacking, and differentiating into that particular type of cell. So that's why it's so much more what the future is like, compared to a doctor telling you this might be your problem and you should take this medication. It is still very, very subjective to the doctor who's looking at you and your conditions and your history and so many things involved. But when it comes to stem cells, they have this intelligence to understand what is it that your body needs. Right. So biomedic basically basically my mom wanted, not to say wanted, she was hoping I'd become a doctor or something. So she said, why not you try biomedics first and then see whether you want to go ahead and continue and become a doctor or not, because you can just exempt, they'll give you some exemption of few subjects and you can continue with medicine. So I said okay, because I was also into biology at the time. So I thought, okay, let's do it. So that's basically how I came into biomedics. Really, that's not much story behind it. That's all. But I decided I don't want to go ahead and do medicine, because it just wasn't my thing to do medicine and become a doctor. I wanted to be in laboratory side. So that's basically how I went into bio side, biomedic. And about the book, okay, I would say my mom, she plays a very important role here, because actually she's an English teacher. Okay, she teaches English up to from 6th level. So from young, she has been the reason why we can speak decent English lah. Okay, so then because the English is there, the writing is there, somehow, and she also used to be involved in writing some books. She didn't write like a full book, but she was involved in like school workbooks and this kind of things. And once she was retired, she was involved in shelter actually, a dog shelter. She's quite very much involved in it. After retiring as a teacher, she went into this dog shelter thing where they went from 60 over dogs, if I'm not mistaken. Now they have like 2,000 dogs. Okay, so they're taking care of 2,000 dogs. My mom was very much involved in that. And then when she took a break from that, she said, okay, let's think about writing a book. She wanted that first. So we took up a course together on how to do this whole Amazon thing. And that's how I wanted to do it also. And I was thinking, I can do this, I can do that, I can put out this whole story about yoga and all this. That's basically how I even got the idea. First, don't listen to everybody around you. Listen. Okay. Something that someone very close to me once told me: you cannot ask a fish how to climb a tree. Okay, so as much as they may be your closest family member or the closest person to you who will expect you to listen to them because they're close to you, you need to understand whether they're the right person to give you that advice in that aspect of what you are venturing into. If they are, then by all means go ahead and take the whole thing into account. But if they have been living a totally different life and you want to go into something totally different, then you will have to go and find somebody who's on that line to advise you accordingly. I think that is very, very important. and don't take everybody else's fear onto you. Like there'll always be someone telling you that it might not sell, or you're too young for this. You're not experienced enough to write a book, for example, or not, whatever it is that you want to do. All these things will come, but when will you be good enough? You will never be good, the best. There will be someone always better than you. I know this is a very cliche thing to say, but it really is something that you have to remind yourself, especially when you feel like there's so many people better than me. Why would somebody buy my book, right? But then again, you have your own unique story to tell. You have your own mind voice that you want to put out, and that may not be the same as the greatest guru out there. It's just different, you see. So yeah, that would be my main advice. And of course, take one step at a time. Don't think of everything, because if you look at the big picture, you're going to freak out. So you just have to go one step at a time, one day at a time. What can you do now? You do it. Even if you wake up on a bad day, you just see the minimal that you can do. Just do something and call it a day. It's fine, but that something has to be done. Just a little bit. And my favorite place is basically Cameron's, but on a weekday, not on a weekend. So weekday, I like to just take a drive up and just eat some scones and have a nice tea and just read a book. And I like to go up there, start a book, finish it, then come back down. I like to do that.